Live. I'm Courtney. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator from New South Wales and the beautiful Central Coast of Australia. I'm coming to you live today a little bit late because I've had some more technical issues. It seems to be the going trend. So without further ado, well, let's get started. I know that there'll be a few people that catch up with us as we go. Now, there's a couple more days left of March. There's a few things happening in March. We're pre-ordering at the moment for the goodies that are being released in May. So anyone that joins this month or next month can get those goodies as part of their kit, if that's something that interests you. Kits are $169 and you get $235 worth of product. So there's lots of things happening. If you check out my Facebook page, the events page on my Stampin' Up site, all those sorts of places, you will find lists of Stampin' Up events and my own personal events. I've got a class this weekend. We're using the cutest cows, which I will give you the heads up if you're interested in it. It is going. So today I don't know what happened in my chickens there. Today we're actually using Textured Notes, which is a new stamp set a new bundle that's as part of the online exclusives. You will see Stampin' Up as it's evolving. We do have a paper catalogue and we will be adding online exclusives as we go. Now I will switch over my camera to my desk so that you can see it, and I will press go live on my Instagram. Load up my massive screen because my big screen that normally sits behind the actual camera that I talk to is not working for some reason. So the daughter will have to sort that for me later. Now, okay, so this is Textured Notes. It's a really pretty stamp set. You'll see we've got a variety of things. There's a little, what to me looks like the bottom of a basket, some leaves, and you are seriously the best. Thank you. A little note of appreciation. Now, the challenge that we've got for our team group this month, it happens to be a don't use any white or vanilla cardstock challenge. So I've got a whole heap of cardstock sitting here under me. I've got my trimmer. I haven't pre-prepared anything. So it's just going to be a matter of let's see what we come up with. I've brought over with me, the designer series paper called Ness of Winter. It was released just prior to Christmas. It's a really pretty designer series paper. It's got some muted colours in it. So I'll just pull out some pieces that I was interested in because I actually think it will work quite nicely with this paper. We're not allowed to use the white, so we'll just put that over there. And there's actually pieces from other bits in here. So even though there's Christmas berries and pine cones and all that sort of stuff, doesn't mean you need to use it for Christmas. So we've got to work out which piece we want to play with. But I thought this piece was definitely going to be on the cards because it is actually quite pale. I believe it's crumb cake. It's really pretty on the other side. It's just one of those things. This side, you can just stamp on it and stamp your sentiment and off you go. But we're going to do a little bit more because you wait till you see these dies. So we're going to use that piece. I brought over with me Coastal Cabana copper clay and garden green cardstock to play with. But we're not allowed to use those, guys. I also love this piece. Well, there's only half a sheet. And it's Coastal Cabana and it's very bubbly. It's got little white dots on it. So it's actually quite pretty and it goes very nicely with this textured piece here as well. So we've got quite a few pieces that we can mix up and play with. Now, if you've got the Winterly Notes bundle, you'll know that, or the Ness of Winter Winterly Notes. Where was I getting that from? That sounds like a pretty cool name, doesn't it? You'll notice that some of these you can cut out with the bundle from that stamp set that goes with this, but we're not playing with that one today. So we're playing with Textured Notes. I'll just pop those to the side and we're going to try and make a card that has no white cardstock. So I will bring in these pale ones because then it's like having white but not really. So we'll start with putting this to the side so we can decide what colour, until we decide what colour we're going to. My desk is not big enough. Those that know me will think, no, lie, pants on fire. I think I'm going to use, I think I'll come out with garden green. Now, everybody that knows me knows green's my favourite colour. But then every now and then I throw a spanner in the works and I tell them, oh, we're going to make one with crushed curry. It's my favourite colour. So I have a favourite yellow, I have a favourite green, I have a favourite orange, and all of that sort of jazz. So it just depends on what we're playing with. I'm going to make my standard portrait size card because I like portrait cards. Okay. So I know that I've got that. Now, I normally put white on the inside. So, hello, how you going? If I put white on the inside, well, that'll make it so that, you know, I've used white. So we can't have white on the inside even. The only white that I'm going to be using is going to be my envelope, essentially. Now, these textured notes stamp sets are gorgeous. I haven't actually put any of them together, so I'll just use them without putting them together. But look at these dies. All right, these are the bomb. How gorgeous are those? And I can thank my auntie for this lot because they're pretty smick. Right, so you'll notice, let me just show you how they fit. This really, really big one it fits nicely, but it's a little bit short as far as I'm concerned, but it'll be perfect for scrapbooking as well. Whereas this one here, for all intents and purposes, to me fits perfectly. We've got strips that you can use for sentiments. You Are Seriously the Best fits on this one here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a piece of this designer series paper. Now, because I would normally like to use this way as well, we'll start with that. I'm actually going to cut it this way. I was watching a scrapbooking thing the other day and they used the cutter up the other direction. And I thought, oh, that's unusual. But I've since found out there's a lot of people that do that. These are little bird feet. So they are directional. So we're going to use them that way. Okay. Now, just because I can, where's that piece of, where's that die? It's smaller than what I would normally cut. So I'm just going to, because I don't want to overcut it, but I want to use a piece of this on the inside. So that piece I would normally cut it just shy of 10 centimetres for my inside piece. So that's going to give me a little bit of a I don't know, a border around it. Replace my blade. It's so much better now that it's sharp. Okay, so that'll be my inside piece for my card. Okay, and this piece I'm going to die cut from. And then I've got another piece for the front here, which I could use as a, it actually looks quite pretty. So there's lots of things that you can do. The paper's pretty, these dies are pretty. There is actually designer series paper that comes with that, but this wasn't going to work for what I wanted to do. Okay, so, but anyway. So I'm going to cut this out here. I could cut it out so that I get that little blue bird. Oh, no, nope. Continue with what I was thinking. Or do I want to do that? You know what? I do. Do I want a blue bird or do I want... Now I'm stuck. I shouldn't have looked at the other side. I want a blue bird. Okay, yep, we're going with a blue bird. When you don't come to the table with a plan, this is what you end up doing. You end up making decisions on the fly, and who knows what you're going to get. Right. Now, I don't know if you can see that very well, but hopefully you can. I always put my square dies into my die cutting machine on an angle. And the reason why I do that is I find that they seem to go through it better, for want of a better way of putting it. If you get that, it's, whoops, banging into the computer. Getting that little point to go first just seems to make it go through just that little bit easier. All right. Don't know what that noise was. Okay. Got a little spare bit there. But then if you have a sticky at that, that's really pretty. Let me just move these to the side. And that's die number 2. And they're all actually all different. So I think, yes, die number 1 and die number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the same. And so 6 and 5 are the same. So there are some similar, but yeah, look at them. All of them are, you can almost say all of them are different, but these 2 are stitched. There's 2 of that. So there's only one, this one here, and these 2 here are the only 2 that have got 1 of each one. Whereas the others are all doubled up as they get smaller. Okay. How gorgeous is that? All right. So that's just sitting there on garden green. Now, I wanted to use all these Calypso coral ones, but you know what? I'm not going to now, because looking at that, I've added that bird in, and he's quite blue. So now we'll need to do something out of the ordinary and get another piece, because there's actually other pieces in here. Like, for example, ooh, it's like searching through a treasure trove here. For example, there is this glorious piece, and that's going to work very nicely with what I want to do. Okay, so I can put those other pieces back. Now, it's stripes. You can use stripes in any direction that you like, but I have a tendency, depending on what I'm doing, I have a tendency to like them going across the page like so. Now, this is just, I'm just eyeballing this. That's about 3 centimetres, and I want it longer, but I don't want it, I want it to get a little bit of a border around it, so I'm going to cut it at 14.4. All right. So it's 14.4 by 3. Just to have a little bit of something underneath here. Just for a little bit of difference. Okay. Now, the other thing that I've got here, where's my snips hiding? There's a dodgy, oh, found them. I said there's a dodgy pair. All right, I'll just cut that piece off. If I wanted to, and I'll see as I go, I might use that piece as my, well, it's a bit short, but we'll see. It'll work on that one. All right. So depending on what sentiment that we want to use will depend on where we're going to put it. Okay. There's a nice texture. There's leaves. These, if you want to cut them out, you're going to have to fussy cut them. And I know some of my girls don't like to fussy cut, and they all know who it is, and I don't be surprised if she gets tagged. But that sentiment there is not going to fit. Well, actually, it will fit, only just though. It will fit on there. Another way that you can tell is if you've got them all popped out of your, I always keep my red rubber from around. So what I can come and do is I can have a look and I can see that that piece is big enough, because underneath there, it's you can see it. Now, the other thing that you can do with this, if you ever want to cut out words and you want to cut them out and you want it to be a little bit neater, so you want to fussy cut them, so you want them similar to the way they look on the stamp, what you can do with that is you can actually trace around the word. You can trace around on the back. So you'd have to put it on the back, trace around it in pencil. Then you're going to stamp onto the other side. Okay. I think that's something I'm going to have to show you, but you're going to trace around it so that way then you've got a line to trace, like a line to cut or a line to follow if you're not up for fussy cutting too much. Okay. But if we want to put on that one there says, "You are seriously the best," that's going to fit quite nicely across the middle. but I actually want it to come off to the side a bit. So I'm thinking that we can still cut it out using this, and I think that that should fit on there. You would think that they'd make that so that that's the right size. Oh, it's going to be tight, but let's stick it. Let's do it and see. Hey. All right. So I brought over with me early espresso because it's a nice dark colour. I did bring garden green over with me, but I don't think I want to use garden green on this particular sentiment. All right. So we'll just turn that up that way like I like to do. I'm turning it over so that it's a different pattern. It's all those little birdie feet that I've used on the inside. And I'm just going to stamp that on. Oh, move my ink pad over a bit because I was going to stamp it on there crooked. Well, I jiggled that, but it's not too bad. I don't know how I did that, but it's got like a dodgy bit. Can you tell? To me, that's dodgy. But it still looks really good. So we'll see what happens. We'll go with it. We'll go with it for now, okay? Go with it for now. We're going to cut that out. Right, so let me show you how we can shrink this to fit. And you can do it the same as if you wanted to extend it. Okay? Well, it's sort of similar to if you wanted to extend it. So the first things first, I'm going to show you how to shrink it. All right. When you put, the first time you're going to run it through, again, you're going to run it through and you're going to start with it on an angle. We're going to shrink it because that fits perfectly in there. You've got to make sure you hold your tongue straight and get it straight. If you've got some washi tape, you might want to washi tape it down. I'm going to be brave and just go for it. Let's see what happens. Because, you know, I'm brave. Hello, I am Courtenay and I am brave, as they say. All right, so you'll notice that one end is a bit dodgy, okay? There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can actually turn it over, and I just want to make it so that it's just a little bit chopped at the end, but because it's got small and big stitching, I've got to line up the small and the big stitching, which is that one. Okay, so what I've done is I've jammed it into the stitching that's already there from the first cut, and now I'm sending it through again, and hopefully it's not going to make it too dodgy looking. And I've shortened it. But the aim of the game is, there you go. The aim of the game was to make sure that these little stitch marks on here nestled into the little stitch marks on there, okay? So that way when it cut, it didn't cut extra stitch marks. Otherwise, that piece out of the middle would have fallen out. Does that make sense? All right, so we want to make sure that when we do that shrinking bit, we've used the stitch lines to hold it in place. So that's, because as you can see, we've shrunk it by, I'd probably be inclined to say, I don't know, almost a centimetre. So that's pretty cool. Okay, even though we've still got the stitching on all of the end. All right, so we've got that. And the beauty about doing that is it's going to sit quite nicely over there. But the beauty about doing that is if we wanted to, we could actually cut a bigger piece and have it as a flag. Actually, do you know what? We're going to do that. Let's cut a bigger piece and have that as a flag. Oh, it probably needs to be garden green. But I've only got, let's say I didn't bring over the early espresso with me. However, I did bring over the ink, and I do have a blending brush, and I do have a brayer, but that's okay. So what I might do is, let me just cut, I'll just trim a little bit off here. just so that we can use that. Didn't bring any cardstock over with me. Didn't know that I was going to need that colour cardstock in particular. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send this one back through here. But with this one, okay? Now, it's multicoloured on the other side. I don't want the other side. So I'm just sending that through. Again, I'm going to send it through so it sort of goes out to the side a bit. It's better if it's not crooked because I am then going to attack it with my blending brush. Right? Because I want a different colour. And being DSP, it's going to take that colour on quite nicely. Oh, it's rather pretty, look. I'm getting distracted. Wonder where the kids get it from. But then because it was a bit longer, it means that I can do that with it and I can actually layer it up. Do you see what I mean? So it works to our advantage quite nicely. Blending brush, oh my gosh, had to be a bit stretchy there. Now, because I want it more of the brown, I'm going to use some early espresso. And I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to add some early espresso to it. Now, you can make this as dark or as light as you like, but I'm essentially just changing that piece from that green colour, the garden green colour, to a dark, it's almost like a, if I do it right, it's going to be a tan stripy colour, because where the garden green is, it's going to take on less of the ink because the little white lines, oops, the little white lines in it are going to get more colour. Okay, added to them. Whoops, try not to bend it while you're doing it, Court. Gosh, I'm good at bending it, aren't I? Okay, so you'll see that that's just changed that colour up a little bit. Now, because I've got my blending brush out and because I can, we can grunge this up a bit. I can go around here a little bit. Excuse me for a second. Oh my God! He's really out of sorts. It'll be interesting to see how he goes with class ladies on the weekend. He's missing his buddy. Because my little Gracie didn't, she's passed away, so we're a bit sad here. All right, so if I just do some extra colouring, this is just going to, it grunges it up a bit, but it also makes it pretty, almost vintage-like. But I'm just doing it around the edges. And I will follow through and I will do a little bit. Now, you could use a dauber. I don't want to do too much on this. I just want to do a little bit of it. You could use a dauber. It's up to you. I'm quite happy using a blending brush. I'm also quite happy just going like that and sticking it in. The other thing that I'll often do is just grab it and just wipe it along it. That gives a darker look. So just do it whichever way you like. It softens that edge a bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So you can do it a little bit around or you can do it all the way around. It's up to you. But it just changes the dynamics just a wee bit. Oh, follow through. Again. Yeah. Watch this. Oh. Just a little bit different. Okay. So there's lots of ways you can do that. Now, I brought over garden green with me. There's something that we do called tone-on-tone stamping. All right. So this is where the rest of the stamp set comes into play. These leaves are just divine, but so is that basket, the bit that I'm calling the bottom of the basket. But these are just beautiful. Okay, so what I'm going to show you Oh, he's going to go off his nut in a minute. Is stamp straight on, and you're going to get, see all that texture you're going to get from that? How fabulous is that? Right? But we stamp straight on and we stamp off, and we do some tone on tone. And yes, I am deliberately stamping it in the inside. And the reason, excuse me, the reason why I'm deliberately stamping it on the inside is because that piece there is going to be covered. All right. Now, that just gives us a little bit of a pattern to our background. And how fabulous does that look? Okay. So we can also do, just because we can, I'm going to do this in solid twice. Okay. And that'll just bring that pattern through from the front. Now, if I was to put an envelope, which I wiped on my table here, where's my chamois gone? Oh my golly. It moved behind me. Sorry about my back to you. If I put a white envelope on here, I'm going to end up with multiple colours all over it. So we're not going to do that. And I do like to make my envelopes at the same time, because otherwise I forget. And then I go searching for the pair when I go to take a photo, and I haven't got it. So I'll do this at the same time. So again, garden green. All right, there's that. And that just makes that envelope look pretty. You could do the whole back of here if you wanted to. The choice is yours. Okay. I know. Oliver, stop it. She lives here. That's why he's barking, because he doesn't want to snuggle. Okay, so now we've got a couple of different layers, and we've got a couple of little things happening.
I love you, Mum. Hi,
All right. Excuse her. All right. So we've got a few things that we've got happening here. And just, you can see how that's working. It's working quite nicely. All right. And look, there's placement things that you can do. Now, I did bring over with me one of my favourites. This is just our linen thread. It is standard. It's one of my favourites. It's always been one of my favourites. It works beautifully for so many different things. I just really like it. So I'm going to start putting some things together. All right. Best because I can. And it's going to make it easy for me to work out where I want to put my linen thread. All right, so we'll just put this stripy one here. I really like these two together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue along this line here. Okay, so it's just along that top bit, because I want to adhere it off to an angle a bit along that piece. So that's, I'll now turn that into one piece so that I'm actually going to put dimensionals under that. Okay. You're going to sit across there, and you're definitely going to sit there, and I'm not putting any twine under that or around that, so that can go on. Now, the other thing that you can do, because we're not, I'll just put this piece on. Oh, look, there's a pretty blue bird. This seems like a waste, doesn't it? But there's two sides to every piece of paper. We need to, some of them are better. Some pieces you sort of get two pieces on the two sides that you absolutely love, but that's fine. So there's always more paper. And I can tell you that you will be if you love this paper, this designer series paper, you'll be very excited to know that it's going to be hanging out in the new catalogue. So we've got it for at least another 12 months. Now, speaking of new catalogues, the new catalogue starts in May. Anybody that's interested that doesn't have a demonstrator, isn't a demonstrator, doesn't have a demonstrator of their own, but is interested in getting a catalogue, that's going to look really pretty down there too. I'm more than happy to send you a catalogue. Those people that have popped in an order that's over $50 in the last 3 months, they will automatically get one. Everyone else has to opt in. So down you'll see in the comments or in the blurb about the video, there is a button that you can sign up to opt in. You'll find it on the live, you'll find it on the live on Facebook, you'll find it on the live on YouTube. Okay, so what are we going to do next? I like to fussy cut. So I don't know about you guys, but this piece here lends itself to, they're so cute, lends itself to, there's a couple of things that you can do, and I haven't decided whether I'm actually going to like this, but I'm going to do it because, like I said, there's 2 pieces of paper to every, there's 2 pieces, 2 sides, and both of them are fabulous. So what I'm going to do, if I was fussy cutting, I'm just going to cut, I'm going to fussy cut this guy out. All right. And then it means that I can, I don't like those scissors. Our snips are my favourite fussy cutting scissors. Okay. Now, I told you before, if you want to fussy cut with an edge around it, where's the stamp set? You can come in with this and you can put it over and you can trace around it and then you can cut inside that line. So for example, right, so it's easier, it makes more sense when you actually can see it, doesn't it? For example, I've cut it really close to the edge, so it may not work perfectly. But because of the way that the stamps are die cut, and we know that there's a little piece around the edge, if you're a person that, whoops, you got to try not to wiggle it. If you're a person that likes, whoopsie, I've wiggled it good and proper, to have that edge around it, that, you know how when you die cut things, it gets that white edge around it? Then you can use your frame. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that pencil line. There's a very fine pencil line all the way around there. It just gives me a guide so that if I wanted to, I could cut just on the inside of that pencil line and I would be cutting it relatively even all the way around. And that means then I could make this similar to if I had a die, it would give me a similar sort of look to it. All right. But it also guides me so that I stay an evenish amount away from the actual stamped image. And some people will find that that will make it easier for them to fussy cut around. So there you go. So now I've got a fussy cut piece. No, there's 5 people watching, lol. You're not the only person, but you're the only person commenting. So that's the only person that could see, Cedar could see. That gives you that piece that you've now got a nice edge around. Oh, that's better. Okay, and it's relatively easy. Okay. If you wanted to come in closer, then you could. If you wanted to make it more defined, you can. The choice is up to you. But for those people that want to make fussy cutting as easy as possible, then you can just do that. You can trace around it with a pencil and then cut just on the inside of that pencil line so that you get that relatively even, nearly made it dodgy, that relatively even line around. Okay, So now that I've got that, just because I can, see how I cut the butt off one of those birds, or the front off one of those birds? I can then pop this on top of that and that on top of there. And I think that looks rather cute. Okay, if I do say so myself. This is going to be stuck on with dimensionals, which are sitting on my table over here. So I'll just pop some of those on the back of that. Oh, I'm really loving this tool. Comes in that 3-pack of these guys, with these guys. Oh, my blade's sticking out. Comes in the pack with these guys, which are all just sitting on my desk in front of me, but oh, I'm loving this one. The other one's sort of sitting here as well, the one that goes with it. But this is perfect for picking up gems. It's perfect for stabbing things. It's, yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, because then this guy is going to sit across the top here. All right. And where did my twine go? Here it is. Look, I don't know, it doesn't needs it, but it doesn't really need it. Let's get, see how it's all curly? Comes off the roll like that. If you do, remember how when you do ribbons, if you do that, now it's straight, right? So then you have more control over which way it's going to go. All right. I'm going to add some, I like adding fibre to my cards. It's just something that I like to do. If you're new to my channel and you haven't watched me before, you will see that I like fibre. This is fabulous because look how easy that was. And what I'll often do is so I've stuck a piece of double-sided adhesive on there, and I'm just going to loop this around that piece of double-sided adhesive probably 2 or 3 times until I'm happy with how it sits underneath that. Okay, whereas if I had this really curly piece, it would be jumping all over the place and giving me a bit of grief. Okay, so that's going to sit over there like so. Got to make sure it doesn't stick too far outside of the envelope because it won't fit in the outside of the edge of the card because it won't fit in the envelope if you do. Now it's going to need to go on with the dimensionals as well so that it can straddle that ribbon, that twine quite nicely. So I'll stick one of these in the middle. And this little guy, it just grabs them. How cool is that? And then because I've stuck one in the middle and I don't want it to be on that twine, because I've already got the one in the middle, I can just put the ones at the tops and the side, like in the tops and the bottom. And then that way it sort of forces it into the position where I want it. Okay, now because I've done that, and I want this to be higher, I've got to work out who's sitting where. There's one of the dimensionals is under there. These 3 here are going to need a second dimensional under them. So we'll just take those tops off. And we'll stick a second dimensional on each of these guys. If you've got the long skinny pieces of dimensional, which we use for our shakers, you can use those instead because you can put them along here and they're actually that little bit taller. This one is the same height, a single height. These are double. And the reason is being because that one there is going to sit on top of that one that already has a dimensional under it. You are seriously the best. How pretty is that? So far, we haven't used any white. Now, there is some gems on the table. These cuties. I've used heaps of these. This is my second packet. Opal rounds. Actually, it's probably even more than that. Now, the blue would work because there's a blue bird. if you're working in the powers of, looking at the numbers, I could use blue quite nicely because there's only a little bit of blue on here. And I could very easily pop some more on. And that will bring out the blue in that birdie there. If you wanted to, you could, the pale gold color one would work because of the gold in the bottom of the bird, and so would the clear. So all three colors are going to work on this card. It's just pretty, something different. What do you think? All righty. So there we have, you don't need to see me packing things up. There we have a card made from scratch with no basic white and no vanilla on it. Yes, we've made the most of our designer series paper. We've got some beautiful designer series paper, and I will tell you there's some absolutely fabulous ones coming. If you're a modern card maker, you're going to love some of the ones that we've got for that, for those people that like to make modern cards. If you like to make vintage cards, oh my gosh, there is some paper that I actually want to play. Has anyone else ever paper told? I want to play paper tolling with it. The paper is just divine, and it's going, because you get, in a 6x6 packet, you actually get 4 sheets of each one. It's going to we're going to be able to use 4 layers, and I just am looking forward to it. But anyway, without further ado, I'm Courtney. Thank you for joining me for today's card. I will pop it back on the screen because you want to see it. You don't want to see me. All right. That's my team challenge. Linda is my team leader. She runs a team challenge every month on our Facebook page. It's great to be a part of a team. We're like our own little community of over 100 people, and we've all got something in common, and that is the fact that we love paper crafting. We also enjoy each other, and we enjoy each other's company. Now, I'm going to go, and I will catch up with you later. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. Pop it in the chat, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, thank you for joining me. Toodaloo.